Bamkast.
Welcome once again from the National Theatre of Bosnia and Herzegovina, from the Kiss the Future Summit, following the AI and all of the innovation topics. My next guest is Mr. Catalin Florin, Fraunhofer HHI Institute. I practice this, so that I can do it. And,
it's a mouthful.
Yeah, and the head of startup acceleration of Fraunhofer HHI in Berlin. Catalin, welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's. I have to say, it's my first time in Sarajevo. Can I say that? Obviously.
Well, yeah.
And it's great. You guys, you're so welcome.
Yeah, it's in our culture.
I feel like home, right? Because I'm being Romanian. Like we have a kind of like a similar like welcoming, like warmth. I feel the same here. Plus the people drinking coffee at 10, and I'm like, are you guys not working? Because the same thing in Romania, like,
This is the biggest compliment you could get us about the welcoming.
No, but it's great being here. Yeah, it's great.
Sarajevo is a city which is always welcoming to everybody, and we as Bosnians have it deep in our culture to be good hosts. So it's like a point of validation that you gave us right now, and the statement. We're really happy that you feel like home, that everything is relaxed. But let's catch up to the main topics. It's of course obviously AI, and your career and your doings are mainly about innovation. So let's speak about AI as the biggest innovation nowadays, as the biggest transformational engine in the 2025 and the future.
The new .com bubble era, at least.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a bubble, Most call it that way, but
well, many are afraid that it's bubble. Many are cheerleading it to be a bubble because they are afraid. What are your thoughts?
You need the bubble, right? It's very layered, right? I feel like we as a society, like, we get used to moving fast and fast, right? Which basically what creates a bubble, right? Like rapidly expanding something, right? That we can comprehend to that extent, to a similar extent, right? But for example, in this case, technology is like builds and develops like so fast that we can't keep up with how we use it, the way we implement it. Does it help us? Does it like harm us? This is kind of my take. In the end of the day, look at the .com bubble, right? It was a bubble, right? But it brought us internet. It united us, right? It paved ways to technologies that, you could speak with the dear ones when you were like remote, you can advertise your business, you can get more clients, not just in a newspaper, how it was done before, like you just print an ad in your newspaper and then that would be your reach, right? Like now you have all this, tap into this vast user base. So like, and what I'm trying to say is like, in the end, all was fine. Yes, there were some people that got burned, but we learned from it. We developed from it. And if it is a bubble, I'm sure we'll be fine. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm very techno-optimist in the end of the day, right? So I do agree, but I think it has a bit of a negative connotation, right? Because usually when it bursts, people suffer, But I think that's hard to get around, right? I think sort of like pain and maybe suffering is also something that we learn from. I think it's kind of like humanistic to us people.
Opinions about AI and the bubble are really like the two opposite sides. And I find myself sometimes being really optimistic, sometimes really pessimistic, because it's new. And we are constantly... People by nature are there to be afraid, to protect themselves, and as older I get, the harder I am to change.
Right.
And I remember when I was a kid, and when I wanted to explain to my father something, I was frustrated because he cannot adopt, for example, the use of the internet on the mobile phone and these stuff. But now I see myself that I'm already being slower than I was in adoption of the new technologies, and there is a bit of fear. So should we fear, or should we do it the optimistic way, just like you said?
I think optimistically, let's be cautious. Right? That's kind of what I said on stage as well. Like, what's the best way of using this technology, right? And it should have some guardrails. Like, take my case as an example. We are a research institute. We have a lot of smart people. We have amazing technology, right? As like technology can do like equal good, but equal bad, right? Depends, on which side of the which pill you take. This is the sort of analogy was given on stage, right? Which pill you take. But like I think in the end of the day, I think we shouldn't really fear, but be cautious about it a bit. I mean, you have to let it run a bit, right? Because you want to see where this technology fits best in our lives, right? And you have to just leave it open a little bit. Over controlling it, you might just sort of like hit a limit that will never really sort of like get to the full potential of where technology can go. So that's kind of my opinion. You just sort of like have a bit of, brains in it. Let's not use it to, kill each other or harm each other, right? I think that's just kind of like the first rule here, right? First rule of amendment, like just,
Ethics.
don't, exactly, right? Like, exactly. Don't use it purposefully. Like, don't harm each other. So I think we'll be okay.
It's always the fight between the good guys and the bad.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, in the end of the day, isn't that like what we're seeking? It's kind of like, you maybe seek a little bit of that drama in the end of the day, and because it's somehow humanistic, it happens in real life. You have a fight with a friend, then you make up, you're good buddies again. You lose a friend, you win one. Maybe technology somehow personifies that as well.
And in the institute and in your work area, what are like the biggest successes that you can give to us in front of the camera, just to brag a bit about?
Oh my God.
Successes about some technologies that are being developed, research that you see as something that is going to be good.
This is so timely for this podcast, right? I mean, the fact that perhaps this recording would be on a YouTube channel or whatever you're posting it. The technology that allows that has been developed at HHI. So what we are known for is that we've developed compression, audio-video compression, the H264, I believe. Most probably somebody maybe will correct me. Those three numbers are incorrect, but we've developed a technology that right now is being used all like YouTube or streaming platforms that compresses data and puts it out there so we can all consume it on our mobile phones, on our laptops. So,
We needed you so much when we were starting this production company because we had so many issues with the compression of the files. And we were amazed how, in fact, you guys do it to compress the file so tiny that it...
Right. And it's only going to get bigger, right? Because AI will start consuming larger and larger file sizes, so we need even more this technology so we can actually, you don't want to prompt something. And there was a kind of a discussion there, right? Like on infrastructure, you don't want to prompt an AI and wait 5 minutes for it. That's not going to scale, so you want to compress data in a way that...
Well, I have to tell you that people are already frustrated. For example, I saw when people are not using a paid version of ChatGPT, for example, when it generates pictures, it's really slow.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't do it immediately as people have prompted it or imagine it, people are going like, I'm not going to go through this because it's going to take a while.
Right.
And I already see the frustration of those early adopters, for example, on ChatGPT, where they are not so happy with the compression.
I mean, but that's the part of like being a first believer, right? You somehow, like, you buy into using something that is not perfectly developed, right? It's more like, hey, let me see what this thing can do, right? That's why a lot of early adopters, like, once they try it, they be like, oh my God, this has has legs in solving this problem in this industry, right? So, first believers, I think, you know, if you call them the first believers are those people, I think others, like the masses, I don't know if there's like really first believer. I think like many people already tried it by then, but that's again, right? I think like also this technology is sort of like, I don't know if it's still at the beginning or we're still trying it out. It's still unclear to me, to be honest, personally. But yeah, I mean, look, there's new models coming out every day that's better than the other one. So I guess that we haven't reached a cap in terms of perfection, or now it's good enough for whatever that is. If it's that AGI or whatever,
It's gonna get better.
whatever comes, what's the best version out there ever? Would that be an AGI or just an agent that is like just works?
I stayed a bit in the story a couple of minutes ago, and I'm thinking, I mean, in Bosnia the regulations is quite slow. I mean, there's a joke that probably sometimes in 2060 there will be a parliament speaking about the use of AI once it develops. But Europe and Germany is always like the fastest one to adopt the regulation, to adopt the laws. And how do you see Europe behaving? We can compare it also to the U.S. or to the Middle East, because, for example, in the UAE, they're already crazy for putting the open to use the AI. Every day, every citizen has a paid subscriptions. Kids in the first grade are using already having the AI as a subject. But I believe that Europe is a bit more conservative and more careful in terms of protecting itself from any kind of flaws and the usage. So what do you think?
Well, like Europe has this history of policing everything. You first police, and then you sort of like figure out, okay, well, what we can do within those rules, right? But it's like, as I said, I'm more of an more on the side of like, put it out there. Obviously, have some guiding rails, but just let people use it, let people build with it, see sort of where it goes, and then you can create a policy. Because otherwise, you create a policy that tomorrow is old. Like they're not just gonna surpass, right, the technology. I mean, have you heard the news? It was like a week ago or so. Like the Albanian minister, like they're trying to create like an AI minister, right, to deal with to solve the corruption, right, like when it comes to procurement, right, so making sure that everybody has a fair procurement system. That's wild. And it's Albania, right? If I'm correct, right? It was Albania, right? It was like, it's not Germany. So like to come also to the other, it's like, we look at big countries, France, Germany, like, they adopt policies, but the implementation or the rollout is still slow.
But look, it's again regarding this minister. It's about who writes the prompt to the minister.
Definitely. I mean, definitely. But then you also need to have this sort of person, because it's also like a top-down approach, right? You need to have the upper level of decision making, like buy into this. Because if you don't buy into it, you're always going to be skeptic. Right? So, and you're going to approach it with skepticism. From policy, from support, from funding, everything is going to be like kind of halfway into, like you need to do it because you need to compete with other economies, right? So you're kind of like, we don't want to be left behind, so let's do something, right? But that's not enough. You need to really believe in it, because then, like, look, I wanted to say this on stage, but we didn't have time. Like, look at Sweden, what the Swedish government did in the 90s, and why Swedes right now, they're like, not churning, but they're producing startups on a conveyor belt, right? Like high growth, high value startups. Is because back, I believe it was in the 80s or 90s, the government put a computer in every household. So obviously, that generation, they grew up with a computer in their house, started playing with it, like what software can I build, right? And, they build all, the big companies of Sweden of today. And what they did last year this recently, let me put it that way. Now the government gave a premium plan, like a ChatGPT or any AI model out there, for free to everybody to use, right? Because they didn't work previously when they put a computer in everybody's house. Now they're making it that everybody has an AI.
It becomes
in
one of the
model.
biggest startup hubs. In fact, there's a lot of business right in Sweden just because of that, and that is the reform that is a kind of reform that every country needs, and it goes to my next question on smaller countries like Bosnia. We can do Croatia, Serbia, even Albania, ex-EU countries which don't have a big number of people living there, but I believe they have the opportunity in the AI to catch up with the rest of the world. So, from your perspective, what could be some of the steps that we could, as a community, do or push our politicians, push our business people, our families and stuff? What should be some of the steps so that we catch up on this train and not lose and be late behind everybody else?
So this was one, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much of a leapfrog that would be, right? Because then again, you need to have the infrastructure, right? The same thing. Okay, I want to put a computer in each household, but we don't have an internet infrastructure, right? It's kind of like, it was nice intention, but it's not going to work, right? So, but then again, like, if you have that infrastructure, right, like that would be the first thing, right? Like, just enable everybody to use it. Obviously, not everybody is going to become now an expert in using ChatGPT, right? But they will become better, right? Whether they work in finance or administration, public service, they will become better, right? Second one, if you want to finances, and kind of something we've been said on stage as well, that I also advocate, get more pension funds into private VCs or as investment in those sort of like companies, right? Maybe you don't have many, that's fine, right? You don't need to have many companies, but every ecosystem starts somewhere, right? There's one big company that starts everywhere, and then just rolls out, right? And then there's many other other startups being built on top of that. So sort of private, pension funds put this money into sort of like private equity, VCs, flow, put more of that, capital in the market. And the third one that I'm also supportive about, mandate that the government needs or is obliged to use a startup technology. So if your technology works, the government should be implementing it right away. Because then if we're talking about health or we're talking about, digital administration services, right? Like, like visa, some sort of appointments, right? Then everybody can have access to it. People can try it, and people can say, hey, it's working. If it's working, great, hurrah, right? We got from here, we got here, right? Like, we got to the next step. If it doesn't work, let's just take what we learn and go and update it, right? That's kind of what I like about, for example, Asia, right? That's what Asia does, and that's why they're so advanced at using technology, because they come up with this like crazy concept and technology. They put in the hands of the people, right? Obviously, number affects it, right? But people decide, right? Like, hey, okay, cool. This whatever super app where I can make payments, I can take an Uber, I can do shopping, I can order food. It's all in one. It works.
Cool.
So I think government should be the first client by default to any startup, because then you have
of a big push.
Yeah, exactly, because then you have instant like push of any technology out there, right? And it benefits the people, because that's what I also I'm advocate about. Technology is worthless unless you put it in the hands of people.
Definitely.
Right? Whatever that is, if it's whatever, health, finance, whatever kind of industry, but without that, it's just like an idea on a piece of paper that somebody came up with.
Fully agree with you.
Yeah.
Last question is the question that I ask every guest today. Is 2035, 10 years from now on,
Right.
what are the predictions? The hardest question.
Oh, we're going to connect our brain to computers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really believe we're going to have some sort of like computer brain interface.
Would you like it?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, I think, I think there's so many applications, right? Especially like people with disabilities or impairment, right? Sure, entertainment and all other kind of things, but I think it has really can have really impact. I like a little bit of sci-fi, you know, so kind of having that ability of like uniting machine and humans as a first step, right? Everybody kind of thinks that, oh, robots are gonna take over the world. That's very kind of far away, right? We're far away from what was it, like iRobot, right? With Will Smith, and it's pretty early to that. But it would be great to kind of see that.
Well, Catalin, enjoy the rest of your days here, and I hope that we are going to be hosting you for all of your stay.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. Hopefully you're going to do this again next year and invite me, and we can do this podcast again, and then
Definitely.
sort of like, hey,
let's see a recap where we are at, who was right, who was wrong.
Exactly, right? Like then you guys need to keep it for 10 years, because you asked me what's my prediction in 10 years, and you can sort of like, Florin, you were wrong. Or
we will only interview those who are right about the future next year. Who are wrong, we will not invite them.
Yeah. But thank you for having me. That's
Thank you
great.
very much.